What is up, everyone? So in this video, I'm going to spend the next 4-ish minutes just kind of walking y'all through my process when it comes to doing an accent wall, from the very first inspiration pick to picking out the materials and prepping and all that sort of thing. I've done quite a few of these at this point, and I've tried different methods. This one in particular, I just find to be the easiest and less mess. So I'll usually ask the customer to send me an inspiration pick, and then I'll kind of tally up how much material I think I'm going to need. I buy this stuff. This is 1x4 finger jointed primed pine from Lowe's, and I'll generally rip it down into 2 pieces. I'll sand the side that I rip down because it's going to have saw blade marks, and then once I get it ripped down and sanded, then I'll go ahead and I'll put 1 to 2 coats on the trim before I even start the install. On the first day, I'll go through and I will paint the wall first. That way it gives it a day to let the paint dry, and then I can come back the following day and I can start the trim process. That being said, that is assuming that they're keeping the texture on the wall. If they're actually wanting to get rid of the texture, that's a whole nother process, which I got lucky on this one, I guess. I didn't have to worry about doing that, but if you need to get rid of the texture, then you're going to have to strip bed the walls and get them smooth before you start the install. I'll probably do another video on that at some point, kind of showing that process, but in this one, I'm just going to show you what I did here. Also, before I start anything, when I get to trim, I paint it several days before I start the install. That way the trim's dried and ready to go. And then when you go into the customer's house, you can paint the wall, let it dry overnight, come back the next day, and generally you can do the install in a day. So at the end of the video, you're going to see the inspiration pick that the customer sent me. There's probably another way of doing this, but for me personally, I can generally look at a picture and put the design together kind of in my head. So that's what I do. I follow the picture that they send me. I start with one piece, and then I just start building off of that, and I'll go back and I'll look at the inspiration pick as I'm going through. Most of these accent walls will have some type of uniformity to them. So once you start off your first piece, you just figure out how far you want to space them out. And then I'll try to match it if the picture looks the same. And that's what I'm doing right here. I'm just kind of measuring the distance in between pieces. I'll hold it up to it and I'll pencil mark it, and then I'll go outside and I cut it. You're also going to have a lot of similar cuts with these accent walls. Most of these right here are cut at a 45 degree. As popular as these accent walls are becoming, you've probably seen a lot of different ways these have been done. I know a lot of people will use adhesive on the backside of their trim because they think that it needs it. I personally don't do that because I'm constantly moving the trim around as I'm adjusting it, and if I were to put adhesive on it and have to shift it around, it's just going to make a mess. So what I'll do before I start is I'll actually find all the studs, and then I'll mark on the paper on the floor kind of where the studs are at. So almost all these pieces are crossing a stud at some point, and I'll use 1 3/4 inch trim nails and shoot those in. So every one of these pieces are hitting a stud, and then on top of that, you caulk everything in. It's not going anywhere. Speaking of caulk, this caulk that I'm using right here, I got from Sherwin-Williams. It is their Shermax. It is crack-free, maximum flexibility, paintable, and water cleanup. It's pretty good stuff. So once we get everything caulked in, I'll also use wood putty for the trim nails. And instead of sanding the wood putty off, I'll come back with a damp rag, which is what you're seeing right here, and I'll just wipe that off. This way, I'm not taking off any of the paint, but I'm cleaning off the excess putty that's around the nail hole. And once you get everything wiped down, you're ready to paint. So for the paint, we used a Deep Sea Dive from Sherwin-Williams. It is part of their Emerald urethane line. We did a satin finish on this. Now, this is my personal opinion. I don't know this to be 100% true. Maybe somebody else can clarify this, but I use Emerald urethane on the walls and the trim because I know the urethane is good for the trim, and that's what you need. I don't want to chance necessarily using a different paint on the wall and it not looking the exact same, so I just use urethane for both. Sherwin-Williams has several different types of paint, from gallery to emerald to duration and super paint. So I just like the emerald urethane line, and like I said, I know it's good on trim, so I just use it on the walls as well. Here's a quick look when we finished, and here is the inspiration pick that we used. This is before we did anything, and here is the final picture, everything done. Let me know what y'all think. I appreciate y'all taking the time to watch this, and until next time.